And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Culp. I'm your host. Thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It is Wednesday, the 10th September 2025. Hope you're having a good day. Before we even get going, late breaking news. I don't know if you know who Charlie Kirk is. He is the head of Turning Point USA, which is a youth-based political organization that wants to bring youth on college campuses and in schools to the, I guess you call it the conservative side. He does these get-togethers at colleges to where he sits and debates people who completely disagree with him. He was very instrumental in the election for President Trump. Well, he was shot by a cowardly prick on a campus in Utah, and I don't have any other info. As you know, we have no bias here. We don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Violence, no. We hope he's going to be okay. I don't know him. I've never met him. He's definitely right-leaning. The Morlocks are already out. I'm not going to name who. And we're just going to leave it at that. No, nothing else to discuss on that. But the creeps are out in droves already. It's amazing to watch. Wishing and wanting death for people for having an opinion that's different than yours, I'll never understand. Anyway, we have some fish to fry today on this show. And time to cover. But by the way, first, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, debt and deficits and scams and shams and corruption, you name it, we cover it. And if you don't get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. And if you don't follow us, and actually should, also the YouTube channel, Biz TV, and all the podcast apps. And if you'd like to email me, just be nice. By the way, one more note. As I have told you, we were going to run for office. And a Democratic and a Republican operative scared me straight on some of the questions asked and the things they had said. And also the part of it is the security. In case you don't know, the amount of death threats politicians get, you would not believe. And I must tell you, I like living. Actually, we just hope the young man is doing okay. I think he's only like 30 years old. All right. We move on. Oracle. Let me read something to you on Oracle, which, by the way, finished up today $86 to $328. And in case you don't know, this is a bigger cap stock. So $86, my dog is barking in the background. You'll have to put up with it. $86, I'm going to say it's about 240 billion additional market cap in Oracle today. Let me read the numbers to you. Oracle now projects cloud infrastructure revenue to climb from $18 billion this year to $144 billion over the next 4 to 5 years. And I believe I think they're saying that's yearly revenue. Revenue to climb from $18 billion this year to $144. That's what I think they're saying. In case you don't know, these are gargantuan numbers and gargantuan predictions. And in case you also don't know, Larry Ellison, the CEO, is not like the guy who runs MicroStrategy calling for 13 million on Bitcoin. He's not out there touting. And he's given out these numbers. Now, keep in mind, these are predictions. But I think they're based on some valid thought process. Time will tell. I hate saying those three words, but that's a fact. Time will tell. And all I can tell you, not only Oracle, but anything involved with what we call AI cloud contracts. By the way, that was another part of this. They have something called remaining performance obligations, surged from 138 billion to 455 billion quarter over quarter, a massive 359% jump, anchored by 4 multi-million-dollar AI cloud contracts. It's unbelievable. The numbers are staggering if, in fact, all this comes out. And what ended up happening, anything involved today, things that were sleeping woke up. Something like a GE Vernova, GEV, up $38 today, 6%. And it's been sleeping for a bunch of weeks. And what they do is, how do I put this? Electric power systems. And that would be for the data centers and things like that. Not only GEV, but let's see, a weaker CEG was up $19 today. And there were others. Then there was also something like comfort systems, symbol FIX. Ventilation, heating, air conditioning for commercial industrial use, the data centers. Then there's something like Vertiv Holdings, VRT, was up 12% today. Guess what they do? Technology infrastructure for data centers. So anything to do with AI on the move. Broadcom, up 9% today, just recently gapped up. NVIDIA, not the greatest move, back above the 50-day, up 3.85%. Palantir up 4. I can go on and on. You get the point. That area was amazing today, with the NASDAQ up 6. And by the way, the NASDAQ was down 50 with 20 minutes to go. The NASDAQ down 6. Now, there were some things that ended up negative because of it. Amazon, which is very neck deep in some of this stuff that Oracle announced, was down $8 today. And failed a little move to the upside, as well as some other things. And that's what happened with the NASDAQ not being up, while Broadcom up 33, Oracle up 86. Now, Oracle's an NYSE stock, as well as others. Taiwan Semi up 9. ARM Holdings, which has been dead money for a while, up 13. This is all the artificial intelligence stuff. So when you hear a lot of people say, well, those numbers will not come through, they may be right. But according to Oracle, they're wrong. So very strong day for that area, while weak in other areas. And as you know, we stay away from weak, downtrending areas. That is of import. And we'll go through everything throughout the show as far as the markets go. But the big story today, that Oracle number that they are predicting. And by the way, their earnings were only up 6% and they missed their earnings estimate. Let me repeat that. They missed their earnings estimate. But I don't think we've ever seen guidance like this. This is some serious guidance. If it doesn't come through, bad news. But I want to repeat, Larry Ellison is not the type that goes out and makes statements like that. I think he has a strong belief, and we'll see how it plays out, but very good day for everything that is a benefactor off of more of this artificial intelligence build-out that's going on. Up next, we got a load for you. Thanks for being here. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Well, the Dow was down 220 today with all this fireworks and AI. Weakness, Apple, down $7.30. What happened? I believe we mentioned it yesterday. So Apple does this whole big get-together, and these are our new products. And all it is another phone and another watch with some improvements. I hear the phone is, I didn't even spend time on it, but what I did see was one of the phones is going to be a thinner phone. And I don't know if they announced it yesterday, they're going to have some sort of flip phone. And then the watch. Now, I have an Apple Watch. I don't think I'm ever going to need to exchange it or do a new one. And I heard there was some extra things on there. I think Apple's biggest problem is something I predicted on the fifth phone, which I was wrong on, is that who's going to keep going from the one phone to the next? And I got news for you. People have. But I will tell you, if I'm the normal guy, I got the new phone about, 5-6 months ago? But I waited like 5 years when I didn't used to wait that long. So all I can tell you, they hit Apple good today and yesterday, and it's just not a strong stock versus other things. And in fact, Apple, let me see if I can get this right. In 3 years, how about 3.5 years? Yeah, I'll use that. In 3.5 years is up 20%. And I gather the NASDAQ's better than that. I think. Now, I'm using the high. Let me see if that's right. Nah, the NASDAQ is okay. Not as bad as I thought. But near term, definitely not so strong, and we don't own any right now. We also just noticed that, just letting you know, they were hitting some big names like Meta and Netflix and Amazon and Apple. Tesla was up 9 and finished flat. So I think that weight, Carvana was down 10. So that weight on the index, but also Costco down $22. And what'd we say for like the last 2 years? How can anybody buy Costco at a 60 times earnings? And that's a fact. A price earnings multiple of 60 when the company grows single digits in sales and has had some single digit quarters in earnings. And of course, there's a premium on it because it's Costco, but eventually valuation will come in, and the stock has pretty much been dead now for about 15 months. And off the highs. And not much off the highs. We'll call it about 12%. But Costco was down $23 today. Also got to mention Salesforce.com, that's in the Dow. One of the weakest, if not the weakest, big software name remains in the bear market. And they just reported earnings. The stock gap down. The market it bounced with the market, and they trashed it back down today. And that did not help the Dow. And I also have to mention in the Dow today, for whatever reason, McDonald's breaking down here. And may I state for the record, the restaurant stocks in dire straits. I go through all the restaurant stocks every couple of days. They are all in downtrends at this moment in time. And you have some big crashes. Kava Group hit 172 last November. It's 65 today. Chipotle, we warned you about that 50 for one stock split. Hit a high in 24 of $70. It's 38. Chipotle. How's Cheesecake Factory doing? Even Cheesecake Factory is topped out, and that was a stronger one. Domino's Pizza down 14 today. Wingstop down 11. We'd avoid the restaurants, and that has us thinking. Oh, by the way, Starbucks continues down. Very weak. And Cracker Barrel, which, by the way, they listened. No remodeling of the restaurant. We told you, don't do any changes, but do better marketing. And they listened. Good on them. I actually spoke to the guy who manages the restaurant around where I live. And I said to him, I said, listen, I introduced myself, told him what I did. Don't change. And they didn't. But the stock is very weak because of the group. And again, back on Starbucks. Remember what I told you? The new CEO said, screw that, we're not changing pricing. And I'm like, really? In a price-conscious environment, what do they think? They're premium? But I will say, the cortada is a very good drink, but it is 130 calories. When I have my coffee, which is whenever, I don't want calories, but it is pretty damn good. Restaurant business is very tough, ladies and gentlemen, but you still can't get a reservation at Fort Charles in New York City. You got to pray for one. Anyway, so where'd we go? Oracle, AI, but a bunch of big names got hit today. Restaurants in bad shape. I got them also mentioned. Rails and truckers, very bad shape. And I just, I put little pieces of the puzzle together. Rails and truckers. Restaurants. Any pieces of the puzzle there you can put together? I'm always thinking. Delivery of things. UPS and FedEx have been dead. We'll be paying attention. Why? Job market's a little squirrely right now. And as we always said, people losing their jobs will tend to spend less. And when there's a lot of people losing there's going to be a lot less spending. And since it's 70% of the economy, it's something to watch. On top of that, the jobs available has been going down. By the way, Wingstop was only down 7 today. My bad. I gave you an erroneous number. Sorry about that. Also, retail. We mentioned that yesterday. We'll cover that a little bit. And what else was working today? I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So we mentioned Costco down 23. That can't be good, right? I think maybe it's just the valuation. We'll be watching the retail. There's been some retail weakness. Nothing outrageous at this point in time. But if we start to see retail stocks in trouble en masse with restaurants, which by the way is retail, airlines remain pretty strong right here. So no worries. The cruise lines remain okay too. But if we start to see them, we're going to be talking to you. Oil prices have edged up a little bit, but interest rates have edged down. Well, interest rates have plunged, which is not a bad thing. But with just a little heads up, some of the retail, not all, restaurants, rails and truckers, And let me tell you, when you look at the rails and truckers, yikes. Now, we're getting all kinds of questions about 1999 and artificial intelligence. Can we get... Yeah, we can. Let me explain how 1999 happened, so you know. Back then, money was flowing into internet and technology, and it got a little crazy to where they were buying up internet stocks that really had no game. You had mutual funds change their name from the technology fund to the internet fund. You had companies add .com to their name, and their stocks got juiced. Also, during that time, when all was said and done, the home builders were at 1 times earnings. I told you that story. So here's how it works. The big institutions start noticing that, boy, oh boy, this ain't working, this is working. And the more this ain't working, the more they continue to sell. So it ain't working even more and ain't working even more. And the money has to go somewhere because they have to be invested. So where does it go? Oh, this is what is working. And both sides feed on themselves to the point where the NASDAQ went insane. And that is institutions wanting to keep up, so they just buy without any abandon, with no technical analysis involved. They didn't care if a stock went up 20% 2 days before. Just buy it. Because remember, this is all about human nature and emotions and fear and greed. So they would pile on and pile away. I don't think you can pile away. Get away from things like the home builders that were down to 1 times earnings, as well as some other things. And then there's the retail front. I told you the story. I believe it was like 7 or 8 months from late 98 to 99. I don't know the exact timing. But I had an account up 100%. And I had a client call me up and fired me. 100%. Wasn't good enough. I had a doctor, a very nice, meek and mild man, a doctor. I had bought Oracle. By the way, I had bought Oracle on a big gap to the upside, and then it flagged, and then I bought it. I think, if my memory serves me right, I was up 5-fold on it. 4 or 5-fold. Had a big move. I sold it. This meek and mild man, this doctor, called me up and F-bombed me. And when I say F-bombed me, I mean F-bombed me. Why? Caught up in the fear and greed. And the emotion of, how do you sell something? It was up 4 or 5-fold. That's what the emotions were like back then. Well, maybe a little bit. I think this Oracle could set off that type. I am not predicting it. I am not telling you anything. I am not telling you to buy, sell, hold, or cover. I just know how human nature works. You remember GameStop, by the way, when it did its thing, and the 78, 80-year-old woman calls me up on the phone. Should I buy GameStop? Somebody didn't even know. And I said, do you know where the stock was a week ago? No, not sure. And I said, well, it was up, but I guess it was up 3-fold. Don't you think that has risk? And her answer was, well, what if it keeps going higher? And then she got mad at me because I wouldn't tell her what to do. Emotion. So we're going to be watching two things. Number one, those stocks, the artificial intelligence. But number two, institutions with everything else. Because back then, they were selling off everything to the point where, as I said, home builders, and it doesn't mean home builders doing the same. I'm just saying it was home builders I remember most, was at 1 times earnings. And when the market topped, guess what did well? The home builders. So if we start coming on this radio show and start telling you about all these areas topping out, breaking down, but AI is doing its thing, we'll see. We're open to all outcomes for one reason and one reason only. 3 words. Fear and greed. Our job is to measure it, especially when it potentially can go to extremes. Other things good day for the oil stocks today. Oil prices are up over a stick. Defense stocks are up. I don't know if you saw, though, Poland shot down drones from Russia. And I got news for you. If Russia goes into Poland, look out. We're talking about some serious crap. Remember, I think Donald Trump did nothing wrong by meeting with Putin. I would have too if I was president. Try to get anything done. But Putin played him, would have played me, would have played you. He had no thoughts of stopping. And in fact, on his way home while he was on the plane, was bombing Ukraine. And now, by no accident, sends drones into Poland. Which, by the way, if you ever been to Krakow, it is beautiful. I've been to Krakow. Haven't been to Warsaw. Got to do that one day. So defense stocks had a better day. And I think, you're seeing also oil prices up. Israel took out some bad people in Qatar. I think that did the trick. And a lot of moving parts out there, kids. I also want to mention the food, beverage to drugs acting poorly, especially food and beverage. Those stocks are acting terribly. Don't diversify. Make sure you stay in bull markets. And let me tell you, some of these alcohol, I don't know if you've been reading the stories, but alcohol usage is like at its lowest level in like ever. Constellation Brands, alcohol company, last September was 258. It's now 142. And as you know, I don't drink. If I have 5 drinks in a year, it's big. And the only time I drink is when I go to Nobu because they have this great drink it's a spicy thingamabob. 5 is a big year for me. And I still don't get people in alcohol. A lot of it doesn't even taste good. Ugh. But good luck to you. So the alcohol stocks had just been destroyed. Up next, we'll whine and complain about something. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Let's talk Pandora's box. You know what Pandora's box is, right? If you don't, go look it up. You see, as you know, I'm completely against the tariffs. Their taxes, and I'm amazed how many conservatives, just because they want to make nice with the president, all of a sudden love higher taxes. Tariffs are taxes. Let us not forget that. The administration is praising the money coming in, but it's not coming in, it's already here. It's being paid by us, our businesses, and the consumers. To what extent it heads into the consumers, I don't know. We'll see. The administration is praising the fact that, we've already collected this amount of billions of dollars, higher taxes. If you recall, the administration, President Trump, one of his main thought processes when he was running for election is Kamala Harris wanted to raise taxes on everything. President Trump did not. Well, not true. President Trump is praising, and they're predicting with the Secretary of Treasury, $7 trillion is going to come in over the next 10 years. $8 trillion. Well, that would be an $8 trillion tax hike on the economy. Pandora's box. What does the left like most? The left. They love to take money away from you. They love to tax you. You know, Bernie Sanders, there's a video out there. You can go check that. He once wanted a 100% tax on any money you make above $1 million in a year, which means the economy would go into the crapper. Who'd want to work? Nobody's going to work. I've been told, but Gary, we once had 90% tax rates. Well, we did, but you know what also we had back then? Tax shelters up the wazoo. Do you know back then we had tax shelters where you put in 10 grand and you can write off 100? I'm not making it up. It was insane. It was insane, the tax shelters that were out there. So effective tax rates, people on 90% were like at 25. It was too easy. And of course, they got rid of those tax shelters eventually. I think there's maybe still some out there. Pandora's box. President Trump is using massive, gargantuan, multi-trillion-dollar tax policy on the economy without the House and the Senate. Now, in case you don't know, tax policy is supposed to go through the House and then voted on in the Senate. And then it goes to the desk of the White House. Well, not anymore. Taxes, tariffs. What do you think the next lefty president's going to do? Huh? You know they love taxes. Gavin Newsom, highest tax rate in the country, I believe, is California. What do you think he's going to do? Well, he's going to say Trump did it. Up yours, America. And by the way, not only are we doing tariffs, I'm putting an executive order into this, that, and the other thing, and if you don't like it, go screw. I'm here for 4 years. Go screw. Pandora's box. So Trump, he's gone in 3.5 years. Getting close to 3 years now. What if a lefty wins? They're frothing at the mouth right now, ladies and gentlemen, and the president set us up for the kill down the road. Setting a precedent of not using the House and the Senate votes on massive tax policy. Did any of you ever think of that? We did. Just remember, the left hates you. They just use you. Unfortunately, President Trump is doing it just a little bit different way. But the same outcome. A crapload of money out of the economy. We'll see how it plays out. Pandora's box. It's called opening up a can of worms. Now, the Supreme Court is looking at this, and the Supreme Court should make it illegal for Trump to do what he's doing. But they won't. You know why? 6-3. You think they're going to turn down Trump? I doubt it. I'd be surprised. And unfortunately, my so-called brethren that are supposed conservatives, fiscal conservatives, low-tax conservatives, are actually rooting for the Supreme Court to agree with Trump so he can tax the living crap out of us. How about that? So if you are for tariffs, you ain't no conservative. That's my take. You may agree, or you may disagree. Sorry. Lastly, 10-year yields down at 4.03. I think we can get a half-point cut, not a quarter from the Fed. Ain't going to create a job, but certainly easier money. We'll see it. That'll be, I believe, next week. And that all said, you have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. Serenity now, everybody. Good night.